And there's some new fallout over that explosive government report that finds Obamacare could mean roughly 2.5 million American workers leaving or losing their jobs over the next decade. The CBO analysis, that's the Congressional Budget Office, sending the White House into a spin mode this week, and now major media outlets are following suit. The New York Times editorial board writing, quote, under the headline, "Freeing Workers from the Insurance Trap," a new report found that by reducing the number of full-time workers over a decade, the health care law will have a liberating impact for millions. Judith Miller is a Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative reporter, author, and Fox News contributor. Lauren Ashburn is media analyst on Media Buzz and Fox News contributor. Since when is that a liberating impact, Lauren, to have 2.5 million people leaving the workforce?
Well, it comes down how you look at this by party lines. You basically see how the right and the left are different. So the right is saying basically Obamacare is terrible. And on the left, you're seeing Obamacare is liberating people because they're able to keep their insurance. There are two headlines I'll read to you. Wall Street Journal, healthcare expected to take greater toll on workforce. And then the Wall Street Journal actually changed their headline to say health loss seen leading to some loss of labor. So the media was all over the place on this. Yeah, and Judith, you point out that the New York Times itself kind of did a full turnabout on the impact of that CBO report.
Exactly, John. The first day's report, the news story, was actually somewhat negative. It talked about lost jobs rather than liberation. But the editorial board quickly reversed that. And now we have a kind of story that says, as Lauren pointed out, you can be pleased with these results and be liberated, that is, choose not to work because now you have Obamacare. Or you can view this as a loss of productivity, which is how the right is going to portray this. I think both sides ought to take a step back, and I know news people don't like to hear this, and I'm one of them, but it's going to be 3 years before we really know the effect of Obamacare on the U.S. economy.
Well, and even the folks at the CBO, Lauren, admitted that, you know, their numbers are kind of fudgy. It's hard to figure out some of these things, but if 2.5 million people decide they're going to leave the workforce for whatever reason, that doesn't seem like a good thing. I mean, just the jobs numbers out this morning showed we had about 91,000 people who've just quit looking for work. Right, and a 6 unemployment rate. The issue with this really is that it is complicated. And when things are complicated like this, whether you're trying to explain the difference between full-time employees, FTEs, and jobs, which is what the White House tried to do on the day that this report was released, not very well, I would add, that it is harder for people to understand. And so these headlines, the headlines that I was talking to you about that were horrible and then were changed to be not so horrible, are the things that people remember. People remember jobs lost, Obamacare. And I have to agree with Judith's point that it is going to be a while before we can figure out exactly what is happening. Here's a line from Danielle Kurtzleben in U.S. News and World Report. What the truth might be, she writes, and what few politicians would dare say, is there might simply be some value in lower economic growth. I haven't seen that too many places, Judy, but lower economic growth in some quarters is a good thing.
Well, I don't see how you could possibly spin it this way. Growth is everything. And, people love family values until they're actually forced to spend time with their family as opposed to choosing to do so. I think what didn't get enough attention this week was the Brookings report, which said there's going to be a redistributive effect of Obamacare. That is, the poorer people will do well, middle-class people and upper-income people are going to lose income. Nobody paid attention to that, but these, once again, are all projections.
Right, because apparently what Obamacare is going to do in its full impact is have tax-paying citizens funding the health care for people who, for whatever reason, maybe they can't work or they don't want to work, but that's going to be the net effect.
Exactly. But if you have 5 people lining up for every job that opens up. For the moment, we should be okay.
But if Danielle Kurtzleben has her way, we won't open up as many jobs because the slower economy, slower economic growth is a good thing.
I'm with you, Judy. I'm with you, Judy, about that mom staying home bit. I have 3 kids, and it looks really good until you do it, right?
Right.
Yeah. One more from the Associated Press. They put out a headline this week: modest drop in full-time work seen from healthcare law. Now, again, I go back to the numbers, 2.5 million people projected over a decade. That is not a modest drop in full-time work.
Absolutely right.
That's right. What they're trying to say here is that people now are going to be able to have insurance that is not dependent on a specific corporation. So if you work for Aetna, now Aetna doesn't have to provide your insurance. You can get it through Obamacare, which means that if you are staying with a company just for insurance, you're not going to do that anymore. You don't have to, and then the amount decreases of hours. We're really talking about hours here.
Right.
And it seems that if we're talking hours, we're also talking jobs, but that isn't quite the message that some of the media are giving.
Judy, you had a thought?
Oh, no, exactly. I was going to say exactly the same thing. And modest, by the way, if they'd said modest drop projected, that would have been one thing. But, once again, where you sit on Obamacare determines how you're going to read the CBO report.
Yeah, well,
and
again,
for the 2016 elections, John,
right.
We're going to see this all the time. This report is not going away.
Yeah, and again, pretty pathetic jobs report just out this morning, and it doesn't seem like this economy is ready to take fire anytime soon. A lot of jobless people out there right now. Judy Miller, Lauren, thanks very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, John.